Let me ask you something. Why is it that you understand English, but when it's your turn to speak, you go silent?
You know the words. You've studied for months, maybe years. But in a real situation, at a store, in a conversation, your mind freezes.
It's not because you're bad at English, it's because nobody taught you how real English actually works.
Nobody told you that native speakers don't speak like textbooks. They speak fast, short, natural.
And today, everything changes. Because this is not a grammar lesson, this is real life.
Imagine walking into a supermarket. Someone talks to you, and this time, you don't panic. You don't translate. You don't hesitate.
You respond instantly, smoothly, naturally, like it's your language.
In this episode, we're giving you 7 powerful lessons that will transform how you speak English forever.
Not by making you perfect, but by making you real.
So if you're tired of sounding basic, if you're tired of overthinking every sentence,
Then stay with us. Because by the end of this, you won't just learn English.
you'll start living it. 1. Stop translating. Start thinking.
Let me tell you something honestly. The biggest reason you're still struggling with English is not grammar. It's not vocabulary. It's not even confidence. It's what's happening inside your mind. Every time you try to speak, your brain does something slow, something heavy, something that destroys your fluency before it even begins. You translate. You take a sentence from your own language, you build it, you rearrange it, you search for the right words, and only then you try to speak. By that time, the moment is gone.
And that's why conversations feel stressful. You're not speaking. You're calculating. You're not expressing. You're constructing. And real conversation doesn't wait for you to construct perfect sentences. It moves fast. It flows. It demands instant response.
Think about this. When a cashier asks you something simple like, "Do you need a bag?" That's not a difficult question. You understand it. But instead of answering instantly, your brain goes back to your native language. You think, then you translate. Then you adjust. Then you hesitate. And suddenly a 2-second answer becomes a 10-second struggle.
Now imagine a different approach. No translation, no mental conversion. You hear, "Do you need a bag?" And your brain instantly responds, "Yeah, please." That's it. Clean, fast, natural.
This is the shift that changes everything. Fluent speakers don't translate. They react. They don't build sentences piece by piece. They already have ready-made patterns in their mind. Short, simple, automatic.
And here's the truth most people don't realize. Fluency is not about knowing more words. It's about thinking faster. And you can only think faster when you stop translating.
So how do you break this habit? First, you simplify. Stop trying to speak long, perfect sentences instead of saying, "I would like to purchase some items for my home." Say, "I need a few things." Or even better, "I'm just grabbing a few things."
Short sentences are powerful. They give you speed. They give you confidence. They give you control. And most importantly, they sound real.
Second, you train your brain to respond in English automatically. Pick simple situations, at a store, at a cafe, even at home, and practice small responses. "Yeah, no thanks. That's fine. Sounds good." These are the building blocks of real conversation.
Because in real life, people don't speak in perfect paragraphs. They speak in fragments, in reactions, in quick responses. And that's exactly what you need to master.
Let me challenge you. For the next 24 hours, don't translate. Even if your English is broken, even if it's not perfect, speak directly. Force your brain to stay in English. It will feel uncomfortable at first. Slow, confusing, maybe even frustrating. But that discomfort is growth.
Because the moment you stop translating, something powerful happens. Your brain starts adapting. It starts recognizing patterns. It starts building speed. And slowly, without you realizing, English stops being something you think about and becomes something you feel.
And that's the moment everything changes, when you don't have to search for words anymore, when you don't have to pause every second, when your response just comes out naturally,
That's fluency, not perfection, not complexity, but flow.
So remember this. If you want to speak English naturally, stop translating and start thinking. 2. Use real phrases, not textbook English.
Let's be honest. The English you learned in school is not the English people actually use. It's correct. It's formal. It's safe. But it's not real.
And that's exactly why you feel awkward when you speak. Because you're trying to sound perfect instead of sounding natural.
Think about this. Imagine you're standing at the supermarket counter. You say, "I would like to purchase these items." Technically correct, but in real life, it sounds strange, too formal, too heavy.
Now listen to how a native speaker says the same thing. "I'll take these." Or even simpler, "just these." Short, clear, natural.
This is the difference between textbook English and real English. Textbook English teaches you how to build sentences. Real English teaches you how to live inside conversations.
And here's the truth. Native speakers are lazy in the best way. They don't use long sentences if a short one works. They don't choose complex words if a simple one is enough. They go for speed, ease, flow.
So instead of saying, "Could you please provide me with a bag?" just say, "Can I get a bag?" Or even, "Can I have a bag?"
Instead of, "I do not require anything further," say, "That's it." Or, "I'm good."
Do you feel the difference? One sounds like a robot reading a script. The other sounds like a real human in a real situation.
And this is where most learners get stuck. They think using big words makes them sound smart. But in reality, it makes them sound unnatural.
Fluency is not about sounding intelligent. It's about sounding comfortable.
So how do you fix this? You replace textbook sentences with real-life phrases? You train your ears to hear how people actually speak? And then you copy that rhythm.
Let's build a few real phrases you can start using immediately. "I'll grab this." "I'm just looking." "Do you have this in another size?" "Where can I find this?" "That's perfect." "I'll take it."
Notice something? None of these are complicated, but all of them are powerful because they are used every single day.
And when you start using these phrases, something changes. You stop overthinking. You stop freezing. You start flowing.
Because your brain no longer has to create sentences from scratch. It just pulls ready-made phrases. And that's how real speakers talk.
Let me give you a simple rule. If it feels too long, it's probably wrong. If it feels simple, it's probably right.
So from now on, stop trying to impress people with perfect English. Start connecting with people using real English.
Because at the end of the day, people don't care how perfect your English is. They care how natural you sound.
And natural English is simple English. 3. Master small questions. Let me tell you something most learners completely ignore. Fluency doesn't come from long sentences. It comes from small questions.
Yes, the kind of questions you hear every single day, but never practice seriously. Short, quick, powerful.
Think about real life. When you're at a supermarket, nobody gives long speeches. They ask small questions. Card or cash? Do you need a bag? Anything else?
And here's the problem. Most learners are ready to speak long sentences, but they freeze when someone asks a simple question.
Because small questions require instant understanding. No time to think, no time to translate. Just listen and respond.
That's why mastering small questions is the fastest way to sound fluent. Not big vocabulary, not complex grammar, just fast reactions.
Let's break it down. If someone asks you, "Do you need a bag?" You don't need a full sentence. You don't need to say, "Yes, I would like to have a bag." Just say, "Yeah," or "Yeah, please."
If they ask, "Card or cash?" you don't explain your life story. You just say, "Card." That's it.
Fluent speakers don't over-explain. They respond exactly to the question. Nothing more, nothing less.
And this is where confidence is built. Because when you can handle these small moments, you start feeling in control of the conversation.
Let's practice a few you must know. Do you have a receipt? Can I help you? Where is this? How much is it? Is that all?
Now here's the secret. Don't just understand these questions. Train your response. Say them out loud. Repeat them. Make them automatic.
Because in real life, nobody waits for you. The conversation moves fast, and if you hesitate, you feel lost.
But when your responses are ready, you feel powerful, you feel sharp, you feel fluent.
Let me challenge you again. Practice answering without full sentences. Quick answers. Yes. No. Sure. That's fine. Not really. I'm good.
This is how real conversations work. Not perfect grammar, not long explanations, just fast, natural reactions.
And once you master this, something incredible happens. You stop fearing questions. You start enjoying conversations.
Because now, you're not trying to survive the conversation. You're controlling it.
So remember, fluency is not built in long speeches. It's built in small moments.
Master the small questions. And you master real English. 4. Understand real responses.
Let's talk about the moment where most learners lose confidence. Not when they speak, but when they listen. You can understand slow English. You can follow lessons. You can repeat after videos. But the moment a real person speaks, everything feels different, faster, less clear, almost confusing. And suddenly you feel like you know nothing.
And that feeling is frustrating. Because deep inside, you know, you've studied, you've practiced, you've learned. But real conversations don't sound like your lessons. They sound shorter, faster, more relaxed.
Here's the truth. Native speakers don't speak the way teachers speak. They don't pause after every word. They don't pronounce everything perfectly. They connect words. They reduce sounds. They speak with rhythm.
For example, instead of saying, "Do you want to?" they say, "Do you wanna?" Instead of, "Let me," they say, "Lemme." Instead of, "Going to," they say, "Gonna."
And if you're not trained to hear this, your brain gets confused. You hear sounds, but you don't recognize the words. And that's where panic begins.
Now imagine you're at the supermarket. The cashier says, "You're all set. You learned. Your transaction is complete." But nobody says that in real life. So your brain freezes.
Or they say, "That'll be 20. Not. The total amount you need to pay is $20. Just, that'll be 20. Short, fast, natural.
And if you don't understand these real responses, you feel lost, even in simple situations.
So how do you fix this? First, you stop expecting perfect English. Real English is not perfect. It's messy, it's fast, it's connected.
Second, you train your ears, not just with lessons, but with real conversations. Listen to how people actually speak. Notice the shortcuts, the speed, the rhythm.
Start paying attention to phrases like, "You're good? No worries. Hang on. Give me a sec. All set. Here you go." These are everywhere.
And once you start recognizing them, something powerful happens. Your brain stops translating. It starts understanding directly.
That's when listening becomes easy. Not because the language changed, but because you adapted.
And here's something important. You don't need to understand every word. You just need to understand the meaning.
If someone says anything else, you don't analyze grammar, you understand the intention. They're asking if you want more.
And you respond naturally. "No, that's it. I'm good. That's all."
That's real communication, not perfect sentences, but clear understanding.
So from now on, stop trying to hear perfect English. Start training yourself to understand real English.
Because fluency is not about speaking perfectly, it's about understanding instantly.
And the moment you understand real responses, you stop feeling lost. You start feeling confident.
And confidence is what turns English from a struggle into a natural part of your life. 6. Handle real situations. This is where everything becomes real. Not theory, not practice sentences, not repeating after a video. Real situations. Because no matter how much English you study, if you can't handle real moments, you will always feel stuck.
Exactly. And most learners avoid this stage. They stay comfortable, listening, reading, practicing alone. But the moment they face a real person, everything collapses.
Why? Because real situations are unpredictable. Nobody follows a script. Nobody speaks exactly how you practiced. And that uncertainty creates fear.
But here's the truth. Fluency is not built in perfect conditions. It's built in real situations. Messy, imperfect, fast-moving situations.
Let's take a simple example. The supermarket. It seems easy, right? But when you're actually there, standing in line, people around you, cashier waiting, your turn comes, pressure hits.
Your heart beats faster, your mind goes blank, and suddenly, even the simplest sentence feels difficult.
That's why you don't just learn English, you train for situations. You prepare your mind for real moments.
Let's walk through a full real-life scenario step by step, not just what to say, but how to think. Sara, cashier. Hi, how are you?
First rule, keep it simple. Good, thanks. Or just good. You don't need to explain your day.
Did you find everything okay?
If yes, yeah, all good. If no, not really. Or couldn't find a few things?
Do you need a bag?
Yeah, please. Or no, I'm good. No long sentences, no overthinking.
Card or cash?
Card. That's it, one word. Clear and confident.
That'll be 25.
You don't panic, you don't freeze, you respond naturally. Here you go.
You're all set.
Thanks. Simple, clean, done.
Now listen carefully. That entire conversation was built on simple phrases. No complex grammar. No difficult vocabulary. But it felt real.
And that's the key. Real situations don't require advanced English. They require fast, natural responses.
Now let's go deeper. Because real situations don't always go smoothly. Sometimes, something unexpected happens.
What if you don't understand? The cashier says something fast, and you miss it. This is where most learners panic.
Instead of freezing, you use a simple strategy. Ask, sorry? Or, can you repeat that? That's it. Not, I am extremely sorry, I did not understand what you said. Just, sorry?
What if you make a mistake? You say something wrong, your sentence is broken.
Nothing happens. The world doesn't stop. The cashier still understands you. The conversation continues.
This is something you must accept. Real communication is not perfect. It's effective. If people understand you, you are already winning.
Now let's talk about pressure, because pressure is the real enemy, not English. Pressure makes your brain slow. Pressure makes you forget everything.
So how do you handle pressure? You simplify. When your mind is blank, go back to basics. Yes? No. Okay. Thanks. These are your safety words.
They keep the conversation alive. They give you time to think. They reduce pressure instantly.
And the more you face these situations, the more comfortable you become. The fear disappears. The hesitation fades.
Because your brain starts recognizing patterns. It says, I've been here before. And instead of panic, you feel control.
Let me tell you something powerful. Confidence doesn't come before action. It comes after action.
Every time you handle a real situation, even if it's not perfect, you become stronger, faster, better.
And slowly, these small interactions turn into natural conversations.
You stop thinking about English and start living in English.
So here's your challenge. Don't avoid real situations. Seek them. Go to a store, talk to someone, ask a question, even if it feels uncomfortable.
Because that discomfort is the doorway to fluency.
And once you step through it, there's no going back.
You're no longer a learner. You're a speaker. 7. Confidence is everything.
Let's end with the truth most people don't want to hear. Your English is not the problem. Your confidence is. You already know words. You understand basic sentences. You've studied enough to speak. But when the moment comes, you stay silent. Not because you can't speak, but because you're afraid.
Afraid of making mistakes. Afraid of sounding wrong. Afraid of being judged. And that fear is stronger than your knowledge.
Think about this. How many times have you had a sentence in your mind, perfectly ready, but you didn't say it? You paused, you hesitated, and the moment passed.
That's not a language problem. That's a confidence problem.
Because speaking a language is not just about knowing, it's about daring. Daring to speak even when you're not ready. Daring to make mistakes in front of people. Daring to sound imperfect.
And here's the reality. Fluent speakers are not perfect. They make mistakes too, but they don't stop. They keep going.
Confidence is not about being correct. It's about being comfortable with being incorrect.
Let that sink in. You don't need perfect English to speak. You need courage.
Now imagine two learners. One knows a lot of grammar but never speaks. The other knows basic English but speaks every day. Who becomes fluent?
The one who speaks. Every single time. Because fluency is built through action, not through thinking.
And this is where everything connects. You stopped translating, you learned real phrases, you mastered small questions, you trained your ears, you handled real situations. Now, all that's left is to trust yourself.
Because without confidence, all your knowledge stays locked inside your mind, unused, silent.
Let's break the fear. What's the worst that can happen? You say something wrong? People still understand you. You pronounce something badly? People still respond. You pause for a second? The conversation still continues.
Nobody is waiting for you to be perfect. They just want to understand you. That's it.
And once you realize this, something shifts inside you. You stop aiming for perfection. You start aiming for communication.
And that's when your English becomes powerful, not because it's perfect, but because it's alive.
Let me give you a mindset that will change everything. From today, your goal is not to speak perfectly. Your goal is to speak anyway.
Even if your sentence is broken, even if your grammar is wrong, even if your pronunciation is not clear, speak.
Because every time you speak, you destroy fear. And every time you stay silent, you strengthen it.
Confidence is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes.
And here's something powerful. Your first confident sentence will feel uncomfortable. Your second, slightly easier. Your third, more natural. And one day, you won't even think about it, you'll just speak.
That's the moment you've been waiting for. Not perfection, freedom.
Freedom to express your thoughts, freedom to respond instantly, freedom to be yourself in English.
And that freedom only comes when you stop holding yourself back.
So the next time you're in a real situation, at a store, in a conversation, anywhere, don't wait, don't overthink, don't hold back.
Just speak.
Because your voice matters, your message matters, and your English doesn't need to be perfect to be powerful.
It just needs to be used.
So remember this, fluency is not built in silence, it's built in courage.
And confidence is everything.
So now you see it clearly. Fluency was never about big words or perfect grammar. It was about how you think, how you react, how you show up in real moments.
You don't need more lessons. You need more action. Because everything we shared today only works when you actually use it.
Next time you're in a real situation, don't stay silent. Don't wait for the perfect sentence, just speak.
Even if it's simple, even if it's not perfect. Because every time you speak, you move forward.
And every time you stay quiet, you stay stuck.
You already have what you need. Now it's time to trust yourself.
Because your English doesn't grow when you think, it grows when you use it.
And one day, without even realizing it, you won't be translating. You won't be hesitating.
You'll just be speaking naturally, confidently, effortlessly.
That's your next level, and it starts now.
If this episode helped you, don't forget to come back. Because we're not just teaching English.
We're helping you become someone who can speak without fear.
And remember, fluency is not a dream.
It's a decision.
Make that decision every single day.